She's not the only one. Your wife is just one of many.
The red silk fell from Emily's suitcase like a confession. I stood frozen in our bedroom doorway, watching my wife of 12 years carefully fold lingerie I'd never seen before into her travel bag. The same woman who wore cotton pajamas to bed every night was packing Victoria's Secret like she was heading to a honeymoon. Conference in Hartford, she'd said over coffee that morning, not meeting my eyes. 3 days. Marketing summit, right. And I'm the Pope. Emily didn't notice me watching as she tucked a black lace teddy between her business suits. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She grabbed it fast, read something, and actually giggled. My wife, who hadn't giggled at anything I'd said in 2 years, was giggling at her phone like a teenage girl. I backed away quietly and headed downstairs to my workshop. 38 years old, owner of Murphy's Auto Repair, and apparently dumb as a bag of hammers. How long had this been going on right under my nose? The workshop always calmed me down. Tools had logic. Engines made sense. You could fix what was broken if you knew what you were doing. I picked up a wrench and turned it over in my hands, thinking. Emily worked at Brennan Marketing, a mid-sized firm downtown. She'd been putting in longer hours lately, coming home with stories about demanding clients and weekend strategy sessions. I'd been proud of her ambition, even picked up the slack at home so she could focus on her career. What a fucking idiot. My phone was in my back pocket. Emily's iPad was charging on the kitchen counter. We'd always shared passwords, or at least, I thought we did. Her birthday. 0847. The screen unlocked. Her messages app showed recent conversations. Mom, Sister Katie, work group chat, and Derek. Derek with the business suit emoji next to his name. I clicked on it. The messages made my stomach turn. 3 months of flirting that escalated into full-blown intimate texting. Photos I definitely didn't want to see. Plans for hotel meetups during client dinners. And yesterday's exchange. Derek, can't wait to see what you picked out for tomorrow night. Emily, red silk. You'll love unwrapping your present. Derek, room 412. I'll have champagne waiting. Emily, tell your wife you're working late again? Derek, she never questions overtime. Too busy with her book club. I set the iPad down carefully, like it might explode. Derek Brennan, her boss, the guy who owned the company, the one she'd mentioned in passing as brilliant and visionary. Married Derek with the family photos on his desk, and the wife who organized charity galas. The workshop felt too small suddenly. I needed air, space, somewhere to think without Emily's voice calling down asking what I was doing. Murphy's boxing gym was 3 blocks away, wedged between a laundromat and a pizza joint that had been there since the Carter administration. The owner, Mickey Torino, had been my best friend since high school. If anyone would understand this mess, it was Mick. I found him in the back office, going over membership fees with the enthusiasm of a man getting a root canal. "Danny boy!" He looked up, grinning. "What brings you to my palace of pain?" "I need to hit something." His grin faded. Mickey had known me long enough to recognize when I was serious. What happened? Emily's cheating. He closed the ledger. You sure? I pulled out my phone and showed him screenshots I'd taken of the messages. Mickey's face went through several expressions. Surprise, anger, disgust. Jesus Christ, Danny. Her boss? Gets better. She's leaving tonight for a conference that's really a weekend fuckfest at the Hartford Marriott. Mickey stood up, cracking his knuckles. Want me to pay this Derek asshole a visit? No. I want to do this smart. Smart how? I'd been thinking about it during the walk over. Emily wanted to play games? Fine. I'd play too, but my rules. She thinks I'm clueless. Let her keep thinking that. Mickey raised an eyebrow. You're going to let her go? I'm going to let her dig her own grave. Then I'm going to bury her in it. We spent the next hour working the heavy bag. Every punch was Derek's face. Every combination, Emily's lies. By the time I left, my knuckles were raw, but my head was clear. I had a plan. Emily was in the kitchen when I got home, loading the dishwasher with theatrical domesticity. Her suitcase waited by the front door like a faithful dog. How was Mickey? She asked without looking up. Good. Says hi. That's nice. She closed the dishwasher and turned to face me. I should get going soon. Traffic to Hartford's always terrible on Friday nights. I nodded sympathetically. Want me to drive you to the airport? No, I'm driving. Company car. Of course she was. Easier to make detours to love motels when you're not on a flight manifest. I'll miss you, I said, and meant it. I'd miss the woman I thought she was. Emily's expression flickered. Guilt, maybe. Or just impatience to get to her weekend of adultery. Miss you too. She kissed my cheek, grabbed her suitcase, and headed for the door. I'll call you when I get to the hotel. Drive safe. The door closed behind her. I watched through the window as she loaded her bag into the trunk of her company sedan. She paused before getting in the driver's seat, checking her phone. Probably a text from Derek confirming their romantic rendezvous. I waited until her taillights disappeared around the corner. Then I went upstairs and started packing the rest of her things. Every marriage has its archaeology. 12 years of shared life leaves layers of evidence in drawers, closets, medicine cabinets. As I worked through Emily's belongings, I discovered just how much I didn't know about my wife. The jewelry box held earrings I'd never seen her wear. Expensive stuff. Not the modest pieces I'd given her for birthdays and anniversaries. A tennis bracelet that probably cost more than I made in a month. A necklace with a pendant that looked suspiciously like a D. The closet revealed a whole wardrobe of attractive dresses, designer shoes, and lingerie that definitely hadn't come from our joint checking account. Emily made good money at Brennan Marketing, but not Louboutin Red Soul's good money. I found receipts tucked in her purse. Dinners at restaurants I'd never heard of. Hotel charges in Boston, New York, even Miami, all on weekends when she'd claimed to be at company retreats or visiting her sister. The iPad yielded more treasures. Photo albums labeled private, full of pictures that made me want to throw the device against the wall. Group chat messages with her work friends, giggling about their affairs like schoolgirls sharing secrets. Emily's friend Jennifer. How's the boss treating you? Emily. Can't complain. He's very hands-on with employee development. Jennifer. Lucky girl. My husband hasn't touched me in months. Emily. Maybe you need a performance review with someone else's husband. The casual cruelty of it hit me harder than the cheating itself. This wasn't a moment of weakness or a mistake. This was calculated betrayal, shared and celebrated with friends who thought marriage vows were suggestions. I screenshotted everything. Every message, every photo, every receipt. Evidence for the divorce lawyer. Ammunition for what came next. By midnight, I had Emily's entire life packed into boxes and garbage bags. Clothes, shoes, makeup, books, the stupid decorative pillows she insisted on buying, everything that marked her presence in our home. The house looked different without her things, like a weight had been lifted. I loaded everything into my pickup truck. 3 trips to fit it all. Derek Brennan's address was easy enough to find. Public records, company website, social media. People left digital footprints everywhere. He lived in Riverside Heights, the fancy neighborhood where doctors and lawyers pretended they were better than everyone else. The house was a colonial monstrosity with more windows than sense and a circular driveway that screamed, "I have money and want everyone to know it." Derek's Lexus was parked outside. A minivan sat next to it, his wife's car probably. The whole scene looked like a Norman Rockwell painting of American success. I parked across the street and pulled out my phone. Derek's number was in Emily's contacts. I dialed before I could second-guess myself. He answered on the 3rd ring. Hello? Derek? This is Danny Murphy, Emily's husband. Silence. Then, what can I do for you, Danny? His voice was smooth, confident, the kind of voice that sold million-dollar marketing campaigns and convinced wives to betray their husbands. I wanted to congratulate you, I said. Emily's moving in with you. She doesn't have a home here anymore. I'm sorry, what? You heard me. She's all yours now. Hope you've got room in your closet. She's got a lot of stuff. Danny, I think there's been some kind of misunderstanding. I hung up and started unloading boxes. The first few trips I was quiet, professional. Just a delivery man doing his job. I stacked Emily's belongings neatly on Derek's front porch, organizing them by category. Clothes here, shoes there, personal items in between. Derek came outside during the 4th trip, looking like he'd swallowed a live snake. What the hell are you doing? Delivering your girlfriend's stuff, I said, hefting a box of lingerie. She said you like red silk. Thought I'd bring the whole collection. He was shorter than I'd expected, maybe 5'8" in expensive shoes, with the kind of soft build that came from too many business lunches and not enough real work. His hair was perfectly styled even at midnight, like he kept a personal grooming team on standby. "You need to stop this," he said. "You're trespassing." "Public street," I replied, setting the box down with deliberate care. "And these are Emily's things. She'll need them for your romantic weekend." Derek's face went pale. "How did you find out?" "Jesus, Derek, you two weren't exactly subtle. 3 months of intimate texting, hotel receipts, jewelry purchases. Did you think I was blind?" I pulled out my phone and showed him one of the screenshots. His own words, promising to make Emily scream his name. "Delete that," he said. "No." A light came on in the house. Through the front window, I saw a woman's silhouette moving toward the door. "Shit," Derek muttered. "Danny, please." "My wife." The front door opened. Derek's wife was nothing like I had expected. Where Emily was blonde and polished, this woman was dark-haired and sharp-featured. Pretty, but with intelligent eyes that missed nothing. She took in the scene. Her husband, me, the boxes of women's clothing, and her expression didn't change. "Derek," she said, "who's your friend?" "Tina, go back inside. This is just a business. I'm Danny Murphy," I said, extending my hand. "My wife works for your husband. Worked for him, anyway." Tina shook my hand. Her grip was firm, her eyes curious. "Emily Murphy? You know her?" "Oh, yes. I know Emily very well." Something in her tone made Derek fidget. "Tina, please, how well?" I asked. Tina smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant expression. "Well enough to know she's not the only one." The words hit like a physical blow. Derek went white. "What do you mean?" I said. "I mean," Tina said, stepping closer, "that your wife is just the latest in a long line of Derek's business associates. There was Jennifer from accounting before her, and Maria from the graphic design department before that. And, Tina, stop. Why should I?" She turned to her husband, and I saw 15 years of suppressed rage in her eyes. "Tired of keeping your secrets, Derek? Tired of pretending I don't know about your company credit card charges, and your weekend conferences, and your sudden interest in working late?" She looked back at me. "Your wife's been billing hotel rooms to our family account, Mr. Murphy. Did you know that? She's been using my children's college fund to pay for her affair with my husband." The ground felt unsteady under my feet. "What?" Tina disappeared into the house and returned with a manila folder. "Bank statements, credit card bills, hotel receipts going back 6 months. Your wife has expensive taste in adultery." I flipped through the papers, my anger building with each page. Thousands of dollars charged to Derek's personal accounts. Weekend trips, expensive dinners, jewelry purchases, all funded by his family's money. "She's been stealing from you," I said. "And from you," Tina replied. "Check your joint accounts, Mr. Murphy. I bet you'll find some interesting withdrawals." Derek tried to grab the folder. "Tina, you can't just..." "Can't what? Tell the truth? Show him what his precious wife really is?" She pulled out her phone and showed me the screen. A text conversation between her and Emily. "Emily, Derek says you're out of town this weekend." Perfect timing. "Tina, I'm not out of town, sweetheart." Try again. "Emily, then maybe you should find somewhere else to be. Derek and I have plans." "Tina, how about you find somewhere else to be? Permanently." The conversation continued, getting nastier with each exchange. Emily threatening to get Derek to fire Tina from her volunteer position at his company's charity foundation. Tina threatening to expose Emily's affair to everyone in town. "Your wife," Tina said, "is a piece of work." I looked at Derek, who was sweating despite the cool night air. "How many others?" "Danny, listen. How many?" "It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think." I stepped closer. "How many women have you fucked while your wife paid the bills?" Derek glanced at Tina, who was watching with obvious satisfaction. "Answer him," she said. There were a few." "A few?" Tina laughed. "Try a dozen. Maybe more." Derek's been running his own personal escort service with company employees for years. The rage that had been building all day finally boiled over. I grabbed Derek by his polo shirt and shoved him against his Lexus. "You bastard. Danny, don't. You destroyed my marriage. For what? A quick fuck with my wife? It wasn't like that. What was it like? Derek's smooth confidence was gone. He looked like what he was, a middle-aged cheater caught with his pants down. She came on to me, he said, at the Christmas party. She said she was unhappy, that you didn't appreciate her. I slammed him against the car again. So you decided to help her feel appreciated. I'm sorry. You're sorry you got caught. Tina cleared her throat. Gentlemen, perhaps we should take this inside. The neighbors are starting to notice. I looked around. Porch lights were coming on up and down the street. A few people had come outside to watch the show. Actually, I said, I think the neighbors should know exactly what kind of man they're living next to. I let go of Derek and walked back to my truck. There were still 3 boxes left to unload. What are you doing? Derek asked. Finishing the delivery. I carried the last boxes to his porch, then pulled out the folder of printed screenshots. Every dirty message, every explicit photo, every receipt and bank statement. I scattered them across his lawn like confetti. There, I said. Now everyone can see what Emily Murphy and Derek Brennan have been up to. Derek scrambled to collect the papers, but there were too many, and the wind was picking them up, carrying them across the perfectly manicured neighborhood. You're insane, he said. I'm thorough. Tina was laughing now, actually laughing. Oh, this is perfect. Derek, honey, how does it feel to have your dirty laundry aired in public? Tina, please. Please what? Please keep covering for you? Please keep pretending I don't know about your affairs? Please keep letting you steal from our children to pay for your midlife crisis? She turned to me. Mr. Murphy, there's something else you should know. What? Your wife isn't just cheating with Derek. She's been working her way through half the married men in town. The mailman, your neighbor Tom Henderson, even Father Mackenzie from St. Mary's. The world tilted sideways. Father Mackenzie? Oh yes, very unholy behavior for a priest. Your wife has quite the collection of conquests. Derek was still crawling around his lawn, trying to gather the scattered evidence. His neighbors were getting bolder, coming closer to see what all the commotion was about. Mrs. Patterson from next door called out, "Everything all right over there, Derek?" "Fine," he called back. "Just a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" I shouted back. "Your neighbor's been fucking half the town, Mrs. Patterson. Thought you should know." Derek's face went purple. "Danny, stop. Why? Embarrassed? You should be." I walked back to my truck, leaving Emily's entire life scattered across Derek's front yard. The boxes, the clothes, the evidence of their affair, all of it now public knowledge in the fanciest neighborhood in town. "Give Emily my regards," I called out as I climbed into the cab. "Tell her she can pick up her stuff from her new boyfriend's house." I drove away, leaving Derek on his hands and knees in his front yard, trying to stuff lingerie and love letters back into boxes while his wife laughed and his neighbors whispered. The night was young, and I was just getting started. Emily called at 6:47 a.m. I was in the kitchen, drinking coffee and reading the newspaper like it was any other Saturday morning. The phone rang with her special ringtone, My Girl by The Temptations. I'd set it up years ago when we were happy. Now it sounded like a funeral dirge. "Danny?" Her voice was shaky, panicked. "What did you do?" "Good morning to you too, sweetheart. How's Hartford?" "Don't play games with me. Derek called." "He said you—" "Derek called?" I interrupted. "From your romantic weekend getaway?" "That's rude. A gentleman doesn't take business calls during intimate moments." Silence. "Then you went to his house." "I did." "Nice place, very fancy. His wife seems lovely." "Oh God." Emily's voice cracked. "Danny, I can explain." "Explain what? The 3 months of fucking your boss? The hotel receipts? The jewelry he bought you with his family's money? The lingerie I've never seen before? Which part needs explaining, Emily?" She was crying now. Full-on sobs that might have moved me yesterday. Today, they sounded like self-pity. "It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. You're a cheating whore who's been playing me for a fool. Don't call me that. What should I call you? Faithful wife? Loving partner? The woman who promised to love, honor, and cherish me until death do us part?" More sobbing. In the background, I could hear Derek's voice, though I couldn't make out the words. "Is he there with you now?" I asked. "Danny, please, answer the question. Is your boss, your lover, your sugar daddy there in the hotel room while you're calling your husband?" "Yes," she whispered. "Put him on." What? Put Derek on the phone.
I want to talk to him.
I don't think that's a good idea. I don't give a shit what you think. Put him on, or I'm hanging up and calling the Hartford Marriott directly. I'm sure they'd love to know about the adultery happening in room 412. A pause. Muffled conversation. Then Derek's voice, trying to sound authoritative. Danny, we need to talk about this like adults. Adults don't fuck other people's wives, Derek. Adults don't steal from their families to pay for affairs. Adults don't destroy marriages for a quick piece of ass. Look, I know you're upset. Upset? I laughed. I'm not upset, Derek. I'm impressed. You managed to turn my wife into a prostitute and your family into her unwitting pimps. That takes real talent. There's no need for name-calling. There's every need. You want to know what I did last night after I left your house? I made copies. Lots of copies. Every text message, every photo, every receipt, every bank statement. I've got enough evidence to bury both of you. Derek's voice got tight. What do you want? I want you to understand something. This isn't over. This is just the beginning. I hung up and immediately dialed Mickey's number. Jesus, Danny, it's not even 7 a.m., he groaned. Remember what you said about paying Derek a visit? Mickey was suddenly wide awake. Yeah? Change of plans. I need you to spread some gossip instead. What kind of gossip? I told him about the night before, about Tina's revelations, about the evidence scattered across Derek's lawn. Mickey listened without interrupting, occasionally grunting in approval. So what do you need from me? He asked when I finished. Your gym's got what, 200 members? Half of them live in this town? About that, yeah. How fast do you think news travels in a place like this? Mickey chuckled. Faster than herpes in a whorehouse. Then start talking. Tell everyone about Derek Brennan and his company credit card affairs. Tell them about Emily Murphy and her collection of married men. Tell them about Father Mackenzie and his very unchristian behavior. You want me to destroy their reputations? I want them to face consequences, real consequences, the kind that follow you around for years. Mickey was quiet for a moment. You sure about this, Danny? Once this gets out, there's no taking it back. They didn't think about that when they were fucking behind my back. All right, consider it done. I spent the rest of the morning making phone calls. Emily's sister Katie got the full story, complete with screenshots sent to her phone. Emily's mother got a more diplomatic version, but enough to understand her daughter had destroyed her marriage. Emily's work friends got anonymous messages with selected highlights from their group chat conversations. By noon, my phone was ringing constantly. Friends, neighbors, family members, everyone wanted to know if the rumors were true. I confirmed what I wanted confirmed and stayed silent about the rest. The best call came from Mrs. Henderson next door. Danny, dear, I just heard the most terrible gossip about Emily. Please tell me it's not true. Mrs. Henderson was 73 years old and had lived on our street for 40 years. She knew everyone's business and wasn't shy about sharing it. What did you hear, Mrs. Henderson? That she's been carrying on with multiple men, including my Tom. Tom Henderson was 68 and had been married to Mrs. Henderson for 45 years. The idea of him having an affair was almost comical. I'm afraid I can't comment on ongoing investigations, Mrs. Henderson. Investigations? Divorce proceedings. My lawyer says I shouldn't discuss the details. Oh my, so it is true. Some of it. The parts about Emily and her boss are definitely true. The rest, well, people talk. Mrs. Henderson made a disapproving noise. That poor girl, she seemed so nice. She did, didn't she? After I hung up, I sat in my kitchen and tried to figure out what I was feeling. Anger, definitely. Betrayal, absolutely. But underneath it all was something else. Relief, maybe. The pretense was over. The marriage had been dying for months, maybe years. Emily's affair had just put it out of its misery. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Tina Brennan. We need to talk. I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, when and where? Murphy's boxing gym, 1 hour. Come alone. Interesting. Derek's wife wanted a private meeting at Mickey's place. This should be good. I arrived at the gym to find Tina waiting in the parking lot, sitting in a silver BMW that probably cost more than my house. She got out when she saw my truck, dressed in jeans and a sweater that somehow managed to look both casual and expensive. Mr. Murphy. Mrs. Brennan. Call me Tina. Call me Danny. We went inside. The gym was busy for a Saturday afternoon. Weekend warriors working off their guilt, teenagers learning to fight, old-timers reliving their glory days. Mickey was in the back office, but he gave us space when he saw Tina. "Thank you for meeting me," she said. "Thank you for last night. You gave me information I needed. I gave you information I wanted you to have. That was an interesting distinction." "What's the difference?" Tina smiled, and I saw steel underneath the polish. "I've been planning Derek's downfall for 2 years, Danny. Your wife was just the catalyst I needed." "Planning his downfall?" "My husband thinks I'm a trophy wife. Pretty, stupid, good for charity events and dinner parties. He has no idea I have an MBA from Wharton and a very good understanding of corporate law." She pulled a tablet from her purse and showed me a spreadsheet. "Derek's been embezzling from his own company for years. Small amounts, nothing that would trigger an audit. But it adds up. The numbers were staggering. Hundreds of thousands of dollars diverted to personal accounts, fake vendor payments, inflated expense reports. Why are you showing me this?" "Because I need a witness. Someone with standing to file a complaint. Someone who's been personally damaged by Derek's actions." "The hotel bills. Exactly. Your wife's affair was funded with stolen money. That makes you a victim of Derek's crimes." I studied Tina's face, looking for the angle. "What do you get out of this? Derek goes to prison. I get the company, the house, the kids' college funds, everything he tried to steal from us. And your wife gets exactly what she deserves. Which is public humiliation, professional ruin, criminal charges as an accessory to embezzlement." The plan was elegant in its cruelty. Derek would lose everything: his freedom, his family, his business. Emily would be destroyed professionally and possibly face jail time, and Tina would emerge as the wronged wife who brought justice to the situation. "You're scary, Tina." "I'm thorough. Just like you." She had a point. We were both methodical people who planned our revenge carefully. "What do you need from me?" "File a complaint with the district attorney's office. Provide the evidence of how your marriage was damaged by funds stolen from Brennan Marketing. Let the law take its course. And in return, I make sure Emily's role in all this becomes very public knowledge. Every affair, every stolen dollar, every lie she told. By the time I'm done, she won't be able to get a job cleaning toilets in this town." It was tempting. Very tempting. But something nagged at me. What about the other women? Jennifer from accounting, Maria from graphic design, all of Derek's other victims. "They'll be fine. Most of them were manipulated by Derek, pressured into affairs they didn't really want. The evidence will show that. But not Emily." "No, not Emily. The evidence shows she was an active, willing participant who encouraged Derek to steal money for their affair. She's not a victim, Danny. She's a co-conspirator." Tina was right, and we both knew it. Emily had crossed lines that couldn't be uncrossed. "I need time to think about this." "Of course. But don't take too long. Derek's getting suspicious about my sudden interest in his business affairs." She stood to leave, then turned back. "Danny, last night was just the beginning. If you really want to hurt them, if you want them to pay for what they did to both of us, then we need to work together. And if I don't, then Derek gets away with it. Emily gets away with it, and they'll do it again to someone else." She left me sitting in Mickey's office, staring at the evidence of my wife's betrayal and my own naivety. Outside, I could hear the sound of gloves hitting heavy bags, the rhythm of people working out their frustrations with honest sweat and effort. I thought about Emily in that hotel room with Derek, probably planning their next move, figuring out how to manage the damage from last night's revelations. I thought about Derek's smug voice on the phone, still trying to control the narrative even after being caught red-handed. They thought this was over. They thought they could ride out the scandal and go back to their secret affair once the heat died down. They were wrong. I pulled out my phone and called the district attorney's office. I'd like to report an embezzlement. The district attorney's office was exactly what you'd expect from a government building. Fluorescent lights, beige walls, and the smell of desperation mixed with burnt coffee. I sat in a conference room across from Assistant DA Patricia Collins, a sharp-faced woman in her 40s who looked like she ate defense lawyers for breakfast. "Mr. Murphy," she said, reviewing the file I'd brought. "This is quite a collection of evidence." "I'm thorough." "So I see." She flipped through the bank statements, hotel receipts, and text message printouts. "And you obtained all this how?" "The messages were on my wife's iPad, which we shared. The financial records were provided by Mrs. Brennan, who has access to her husband's accounts. Everything was obtained legally." Collins nodded. "Mrs. Brennan called yesterday. She's coming in this afternoon with additional documentation." "What kind of documentation?" "Corporate records, expense reports, evidence of systematic embezzlement going back several years." Collins closed the file. "Mr. Murphy, if even half of this is accurate, Derek Brennan is looking at serious federal charges." "And my wife?" "That depends on how deep her involvement goes. Using stolen funds for personal benefit. Conspiracy to commit embezzlement. She could face charges too." The thought of Emily in handcuffs should have bothered me more than it did. Instead, I felt a cold satisfaction. What happens next? We investigate, quietly. If the evidence supports charges, we'll move forward. I left the DA's office and drove straight to Murphy's Auto Repair. Work had always been my refuge, the place where problems had solutions and honest effort produced results. I had 3 cars waiting for service and a transmission that needed rebuilding. I was elbow deep in a Honda's engine when Tommy Kowalski showed up. Tommy owned the hardware store downtown and had been one of my closest friends since high school. We played poker together, watched football together. Our wives had been in the same book club. Past tense on that last part, apparently. "Danny." He looked uncomfortable, shifting from foot to foot like a kid called to the principal's office. "Tommy, what brings you by?" "We need to talk." I wiped my hands on a rag and gave him my full attention. "About what?" "About the rumors going around town. About Emily and other people." "What rumors?" Tommy's face flushed. "Come on, Danny. You know what rumors." I did know, but I wanted to hear him say it. "Enlighten me." "People are saying Emily had affairs. Multiple affairs. With married men." "People say a lot of things." "Danny, my name's been mentioned." There it was. Tommy Kowalski, my friend of 20 years, worried about being connected to my wife's infidelity. Not worried about me, not concerned about our friendship, worried about his reputation. Has it now? "You know it's not true, right? I mean, Emily's attractive and all, but I'd never..." "Never what, Tommy?" "Never cheat on Linda. Never betray our friendship. Never do anything like that." His protests sounded rehearsed, like he'd been practicing them in the mirror. I studied his face, looking for tells. Tommy had never been a good liar. "Where were you last Tuesday night?" I asked. "Tuesday? Why?" "Simple question. Where were you last Tuesday night?" Tommy's flush deepened. "I worked late at the store." "Inventory. Linda confirmed that?" "What's that supposed to mean?" "Did Linda see you come home from your late inventory session?" "I don't like what you're implying, Danny." "I'm not implying anything. I'm asking direct questions." Tommy stepped back, his hands clenched into fists. "You're calling me a liar." "I'm asking where you were Tuesday night. You're the one acting guilty about it." "Fuck you, Danny." "Fuck me. I'm not the one who can't account for his whereabouts when my wife was supposedly working late too." The accusation hung in the air between us. Tommy's face went through several expressions: anger, guilt, defiance, fear. "Even if something happened," he said finally, "it wasn't my fault." Emily came on strong, said she was unhappy, said you two were having problems. "So you decided to help her solve them?" "It wasn't like that." "What was it like, Tommy?" He looked around the garage like he was searching for an escape route. "It was one time, maybe 2. She said you weren't sleeping together anymore, that you didn't appreciate her, and you believed her?" "She was convincing. She was lying." Tommy's shoulders sagged. "I know that now. When? When what?" "When did you know she was lying?" "When Linda found the hotel receipt in my jacket pocket." The pieces clicked together. Tommy's wife had discovered his affair the same way I'd discovered Emily's. through careless evidence left behind. Linda knows? She threw me out yesterday. I'm staying at the motel on Route 9. Good for her. Tommy's face hardened. Good for her? Danny, my marriage is falling apart. Your marriage fell apart when you decided to fuck my wife. It was a mistake. It was a choice. Multiple choices. You chose to believe Emily's lies. You chose to betray your wife. You chose to betray me. I'm sorry. No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. Tommy started to say something else, then stopped. He looked around the garage one more time, taking in the familiar space where we'd shared beers and talked about everything from sports to our dreams for the future. I guess this is it for us, he said. I guess it is. He left without another word. I watched him drive away in his pickup truck, probably heading back to the motel where he was learning the cost of his choices. My phone rang. Emily's ringtone. What do you want? Danny, we're coming home. We need to talk. We? Derek and I. We're driving back from Hartford. We'll be there in 2 hours. Don't bother. You don't live here anymore. Danny, please. This is all a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding was me thinking I was married to someone with integrity. I love you. You love Derek's money. You love the excitement of sneaking around. You love the thrill of lying to everyone who cares about you. You don't love me. That's not true. Prove it. How? End it with Derek. Quit your job. Move back home. Go to counseling. Make amends to everyone you've hurt. Silence. I could hear Derek's voice in the background, though I couldn't make out the words. I can't do that, Emily said finally. Then you can't come home. Danny, your stuff's at Derek's house. You want to be with him, be with him. But you're not doing it while pretending to be married to me. I hung up and immediately called my lawyer. Jim, it's Danny Murphy. I need to file for divorce. Jesus, Danny, I heard rumors, but the rumors are true, all of them. Okay, can you come in Monday morning? We'll start the paperwork. Make it as ugly as possible, Jim. I want her to pay for what she's done. Understood. I spent the rest of the afternoon working on cars and fielding phone calls. Friends checking on me, neighbors wanting gossip, family members expressing shock and sympathy. By evening, I was exhausted from explaining the situation over and over. Mickey showed up around closing time with a 6-pack of beer and a pizza. Figured you might not feel like cooking tonight. We sat in my office eating pizza and drinking beer while I told him about the day's developments. Tommy's confession, Emily's phone call, the meeting with the DA. Tommy Kowalski, Mickey said, shaking his head. I always thought he was solid. So did I. How many others you think there were? Does it matter? One was too many. Mickey nodded. What's next? Tina Brennan's meeting with the DA tomorrow. If her evidence is as good as she claims, Derek's looking at federal charges. And Emily? Accessory to embezzlement, conspiracy, maybe more. You really want to see her go to prison? I thought about it. 6 months ago, the idea of Emily in jail would have horrified me. Now, it felt like justice. She made her choices, Mick. Now she gets to live with the consequences. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Derek. We need to meet. Tonight. Alone. I showed Mickey the message. Could be a trap, he said. Could be, but I'm curious what he has to say. Where does he want to meet? I texted back. Where? The response came immediately. Riverside Park. Midnight. Come alone, or I disappear forever. Mickey frowned. Riverside Park? That's where teenagers go to drink and hook up. Perfect place for Derek, then. You're not going alone. He said, I don't give a damn what he said. You're not meeting that asshole by yourself in the middle of the night. I considered arguing, but Mickey was right. Derek was desperate, and desperate people did stupid things. Fine, but stay in the truck. Let me handle this. Deal. We finished the pizza and beer, then drove to Riverside Park. It was a small recreation area on the edge of town, with a playground, some picnic tables, and a walking trail that followed the river. At midnight, it was deserted, except for Derek's Lexus parked near the boat launch. I got out of the truck and walked toward the car. Derek emerged from the shadows, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His perfect hair was disheveled, his expensive clothes wrinkled. Danny, Thanks for coming. What do you want, Derek? I want to make a deal. What kind of deal? I'll give Emily up. Completely. End the affair, fire her from the company, never see her again. In exchange, you call off your wife. My wife? Tina. She's trying to destroy me. I almost laughed. Tina's not my wife, Derek. She's your wife. The woman you've been cheating on for years. She's got evidence. Evidence of crimes you committed. I can make this right. Pay back the money, clean up the books, start over. With a different mistress? Derek's face twisted. This isn't a joke, Danny. Tina's going to ruin me. You ruined yourself. I made mistakes. You made choices. Bad choices. Now you're facing consequences. Derek stepped closer, and I saw desperation in his eyes. I'll pay you. Whatever you want. Just call off Tina. I can't call off Tina. She's not my dog. Everyone has a price. Not everyone. Derek stared at me for a long moment. Then his expression changed. The desperation was replaced by something uglier. You think you're so righteous, he said, but you're just as guilty as the rest of us. How do you figure that? You drove Emily to me. Your neglect, your indifference, your failure as a husband. She came to me because you couldn't satisfy her. The words were meant to hurt, and they did. But they also revealed Derek's true character. Even caught red-handed, he was trying to blame someone else for his crimes. You're right, I said. I failed as a husband. I trusted my wife. I believed her when she said she loved me. I didn't spy on her or control her or assume she was lying every time she left the house. What a terrible husband I was. That's not what I meant. It's exactly what you meant. You want me to take responsibility for your choices and Emily's choices. You want me to feel guilty for being betrayed. Derek opened his mouth to respond, but I wasn't finished. Here's the thing, Derek. I do feel guilty. I feel guilty for not seeing what Emily really was. I feel guilty for trusting people who didn't deserve trust. I feel guilty for being naive enough to think marriage vows actually meant something. I stepped closer to him. But I don't feel guilty about what happens to you and Emily next. You earned whatever's coming. Derek's face went pale. Danny, please. Go home, Derek. Spend whatever time you have left with your family, because once Tina's done with you, you won't have a family anymore. I turned and walked back to Mickey's truck, leaving Derek standing alone in the darkness. How'd it go? Mickey asked as I climbed into the passenger seat. He offered me money to call off Tina. What'd you tell him? I told him to go home and wait for the inevitable. Mickey started the engine. You think he'll run? Where's he going to go? Tina's got all his financial records. The DA's building a case. His face is all over town as a cheater and a thief. Emily might run with him. I thought about that as we drove through the empty streets. Emily had always been practical, calculating. She'd weighed the costs and benefits of her affair and decided the risks were worth it. Now that the risks had become reality, would she stick with Derek or cut her losses? No, I said finally. Emily's too smart to tie herself to a sinking ship. She'll try to make a deal, throw Derek under the bus to save herself. Think it'll work? Depends on how much evidence Tina has. We pulled into my driveway. The house was dark, empty, waiting. For 12 years it had been a home. Now it was just a building where I happened to sleep. You gonna be okay? Mickey asked. Eventually. Call if you need anything. I went inside and poured myself a whiskey. The silence was profound. No Emily moving around upstairs, no television murmuring in the background, no sounds of shared life. My phone rang. Emily again. This time, I didn't answer.